Hello, hello, hello. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Come one, come all, come big, come small. Hey, we got a visitor in the back. Look. Look. Look at you. Looking like you looking.
Girl, I am tired.
You tired? What you tired of? Who you tired of and what you tired from?
Girl, just activities.
Yeah, well, listen. For those of you guys who are new, you have no idea who we are or where you found yourself. In front of the camera, I am Candy Sincerity Johnson. Behind the camera is
Sean Johnson.
way in the back somewhere. It's Sean Johnson. She's waving, y'all. She's waving. She's got her little feet kicked up. Look at Myrtle. Look at Myrtle, y'all. Look at Myrtle. Wiggling them little toes. Listen, right before I pushed the button to call y'all, I told Sean, I said, I'm getting ready to go live. I want to call the best friends. It's been a little while since I did. I said, I'm getting ready to go live. I'm in the middle of a conversation with somebody. My business, not yours. Okay? And I sent a quick text and said, hey, I know we're in the middle of this conversation. Let me just pause because I'm getting ready to go live. So I get a quick response that says, okay, right? Sean's phone dings at the very moment I get the okay. Then, but that wasn't it, girl. There was another message that came through at the same time on my phone and seemingly came through on Sean's phone. So now, I know that historically, Sean and I had talked about there being apps out there where people could, have things installed on your phone that would CC other people. So I want to know, Sean, girl, are you getting my text messages?
Girl, absolutely not. The level of disinterest is way high.
What you mean disinterest?
As in, I don't care.
You don't care?
Me knowing what your text messages say serves absolutely no purpose in my life.
So why are our phones dinging at the same time, but it's not a group message?
Because you happen to be texting somebody and I am also texting somebody. My business, not yours.
Oh, Nancy. Probably Nancy.
No,
Is it?
It's not Nancy.
Okay. So you're texting somebody and I'm texting somebody, and they're responding at the exact same time. It is not a group message.
I guess.
Interesting. Hi, Miss Mary, Miss Bernice, Miss Deborah, Miss Cicely. I see a lot of other people that are coming in the building. Good to see you. Hi to all of the peekaboos and all the looky-loos. Also, shout out to our replay community. So good to see each and every one of you guys. Happy Sunday. That's interesting. So Sean says, no, she said, girl, I don't have something downloaded on your phone where I get CC'd on your messages. Interesting. My phone is pretty dry these days. I don't think that you will find anything of interest. Nothing alarming. Nothing that you probably are not already privy to. But guess what I titled tonight's video, Myrtle?
What did you say?
So I titled tonight's video, My Boss's Man.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I titled tonight's video, My Boss's Man. Now, don't assume that I'm talking about my current boss.
Oh.
Because he has a wife.
Because that's what I said. Wait, what?
Yeah. He's got a wife. So it's not, a current situation. So, I'm going to tell a story. Something like it's Sunday, so we'll call it a parable. I'm going to share this parable with you guys. And as I share the parable with you guys, Sean is going to know exactly who I'm referring to and what I'm talking about. Because the parable was inspired by me scrolling through my timeline. And you know how, girl, the Book of Faces is very good and very diligent about recommending people to you. So the Book of Faces recommended somebody to me that I didn't need recommending. you know, a referral, a friendship referral was extended to me, you know, that I wasn't looking for. So when the lady popped up on my people you may know, I said, all right. All right. So this was somebody that I worked alongside, that I worked with years and years ago. So do you remember, Myrtle, years ago when you and I was just friends, at the time, you know, we were living what we was living down there, right? Before we got together. And I had just got my first like corporate job. And there was this supervisor that I reported to that was very nice, and we had a very close relationship. You remember? You still don't know who I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
You know who I'm talking about?
I remember now, yeah.
So her and I had a very close relationship. And so in a lot of ways, y'all, she kind of took me under her wing and she mentored me, right? And so she saw a lot of opportunity or a lot of potential in me elevating my career with this company, with this particular organization, right? Now, you know, we would go to lunch. We would, you know, like I said, we had a really, really, really good working relationship. Okay. Now, this was years ago, but this corporation was light years ahead of like what you see now, right? So what I'm about to tell you is not foreign in today's standards, but you got to think 20 something years ago, like, girl, this was innovative technology. So on our team of people that reported to her, it was something like, let's say like 20 people. So it was like 20 of us that reported up to her. And so back then, they had the ability to be able to tap into our email, and they had the ability to be able to see our instant messages that, or our DMs, so to speak, right? That we would send to different people within the organization, right? So she could click on something on her screen. She could see everything that was going on. Even if I was out of the office, she could still pull up all my email. She could see all my sent messages. And she could see the history of like DMs that I had sent, you know, to other people internally, or people had sent to me, right? Now, I give you this information because it's very pertinent later in the story. Very pertinent information later in the story. Now, I'm a very ambitious young woman at the time, okay? I had just graduated with my degree. I didn't really have any real work experience. So I go to this networking event in town for Black business professionals, okay? So I'm at this networking event and I meet this, I'm single at the time. Sean and I knew each other and we were friends and we were real cool, but we hadn't started dating, or none of the stuff that you read in the book has started to transpire at this time, right? So I'm at this networking event and I meet this guy. And when I say this guy, Sean laughed at my relationship with this guy. This guy was the bee's knees for me. Girl, this guy was the bee's knees for me. He was a twin. He was very well spoken, very clean cut, very educated. He worked for the same company that I worked with and had just recently got hired into about a year or two prior, right? He worked for them, but he worked over in IT. He had a very, very, very lucrative career, even back then. So he approaches me and he's just like, hey, I know a lot of the people in town and I've never seen you before. And so then he starts to talk to me and, engage in conversation. And so we interact, right? And I'm very impressed with his ability to be able to connect in conversation, right? You guys know I love somebody who's very intelligent. I love good conversation. I love somebody who's mentally stimulating. So we talked and we talked and we talked. So now the event is over. We exchange information, and long story short, we start to date. Okay. things between me and friend get real hot and heavy, right? We start going on dates. We start spending a lot of time together. You know, the relationship started to really, really progress, and his feelings developed. As I look back, his feelings developed very quickly, and he was very intentional during this season of his life, because he just kept saying, you know, I want to settle down. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I see my wife being like a stay-at-home, you know, mother, and, you know, me working, having my career and this and that. And, you know, your girl is young then, right? The relationship, I'm cool with that part, right? You know, what we was doing, I was cool with that. I could be faithful. We can even get married, probably. But when he started talking about, like, you got to stay at home, you know, I want you to stay at home and this and that, then he kind of lost me in this season of my life. So we going back and forth, right? So one day we have been out on, you know, on a date. You know, we had, the relationship had progressed for the grown people. So one night, girl, we lay in the bed. And girl, so we engaging in good conversation. Y'all know pillow talk, right? This is my first big girl experience with that. So we're engaging in conversation, and he proceeds to tell me that he got a strange call earlier that day. And I said, a strange call? I said, well, what kind of call? Was it related to something with your family, or like what kind of strange call? So he proceeds to say, I got a call from such and such bank. And somebody down at the bank called me to report that my other house that my name is on, the payments are late. And so they were calling me to get information to make the payment, right? Like they were calling to say, hey, Mr. Such Such, you know, we 60 days, you know, you a couple of months behind. What's going on? You know, we trying to get everything caught back up, etc. Right? So he proceeds to tell me that his ex-fiancée, you know, that he had a really horrible, nasty breakup from, hasn't been making the payments, and he don't know what's going on, and they're not really on speaking terms, and it's just very, you know, whatever between the two of them. Like, they don't interact. They see each other out at different events because it's a small town. They avoid each other like the plague. Like, it's just, you know, whatever, right? So, you know, we continue to talk. Now, I knew that he was previously engaged. I knew the engagement had ended about a year and a half, 2 years prior to us starting to date. All he said was he found out she was cheating and he couldn't get past it, and, you know, all of these things. But I never said, well, who was it? I never asked any questions, because, and I think I didn't ask, best friends, because I'm looking at the situation like, well, you're like 4 years older than me. So the people that I ran in circles with and stuff on campus will be different than who you ran in circles with. And so we might know some of the same people, but a lot of the people that I knew would have been gone by the time, you know, you was there, you know, whatever the case may be, right? I don't know. Maybe I was just in my 20s and I just didn't ask the right questions. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you probably wasn't thinking along the lines of what?
And, you know, if I could be honest, best friend, sometimes you just let people give you what they're comfortable with giving you, especially when you feel like you know the story. I felt like in that moment, as I look back, I felt like I knew he was very single. I knew that I wasn't, you know, stepping into something that seemed messy. You know, it seemed resolved. I didn't need to know, you know, whatever, right? Whatever, right? So now we're laying there and the conversation is had. And so he's just like, you know, I really just don't know how to handle it. And I said, well, but what are you going to do? Okay. I said, well, what are you going to do? And he said, well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. And he said, a part of me knowing how I know her and knowing how I know how she protects her credit and protects her name and so forth, I'm knowing that if something like this happened, this wasn't an oversight. She must be really going through something. So he's like, a part of me just want to go down there, clear it up, and then just move forward, right? And have them reach out to her to say the other party on the account, took care of it. And then, whatever, that gives her some time to get back on track. He said, but another part of me is really angry because if the shoe was on the other foot, even if I fell on hard times, I'm going to reach out because this decision of not making a payment or not being able to make the payment or whatever the case may be, don't just impact her, it impact me too. So it's the lack of consideration for me. So he was sitting there and he was just like, I'm stuck. I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this, right? And I want your opinion. So best friends, I'm laying in the bed with my, my legs, I'm crossed at the ankle and, at this point, girl, I'm renting a little 1-bedroom apartment, girl. Y'all talking mortgage and girl, you got 2 cars in the garage and things. This is a little bit over my price range at this point. This is where I was at that juncture of life. Okay. So I told him, I said, I recognize the fact that you guys have a very, difficult, strained relationship right now. But if it were me, I feel like it would be worth reaching out, And so I would, I think that it would probably be a good idea to reach out, have a conversation, get to the bottom of what's going on. I said, because to me, just making a payment opens the door for something similar to happen again. And you need her to know and understand that this ain't something to just avoid talking to you about. Because, yeah, you got your house now. And yeah, you got cars and stuff. But at some point in time, you're going to want to finance something else. And girl, I don't know what's going on. But whoever she is, she seemed a little reckless. So then he said, I feel like you know her. And I said, I do. And so he was like, I feel like you know her. He said, you know such and such and such and such. I'm not even finna lie. Girl, I pooed it. Sean, Myrtle. I'm not gonna look. Miss Ann is on the video. Miss Ann, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. You ain't gotta wonder, girl, what did Candy do next? What did Candy say? Girl, when I say that thing caught me off guard, I'm gonna tell you what I did next. I pooed it. There was no way. There was no way. There was no possible way you're going to sit here and tell me. You're not going to sit here and tell me, mister, that the person you was engaged to and going through all this drama with is who I report directly to down at the job.
And he wondered why them payments is late.
And he wondered why them. So best friends. So all I could think to do, I don't know, girl. I guess I've been calling Sean for years, girl. All I could think to do, best friends, was I was just like, I need a safe space. I need a safe space. Girl, I gotta talk this out with somebody. Girl, somebody gotta hear. Somebody gotta hear this story. Somebody's gotta hear this story. I gotta talk to somebody about this story. So, afterwards, I get up, I shower, I get dressed. We had plans for that day, whatever the case may be, whatever. We continue with our plans. I had to sit on this for about, I don't know, a whole nother day almost before I could get away to tell Sean what was going on. Now, all of this jumped off on the weekend. This was like a Friday night going into our plans for Saturday. You know how that go, right? Now, anxiety is setting in that Sunday because now when I go back into the office Monday, I'm going back in looking different because I know too much. See, when you moving and you just going through life doing you and you minding your own business and you not disturbing nobody and ain't nobody disturbing you, you can just kind of, navigate life very carefree. Well, girl, now I know something. And I don't know if you know what I know, okay? And so now I'm starting to analyze, okay, were you kind of pulling me close, a ploy? Was the situation where we were connecting, and you were kind of mentoring me and helping me get to the next level of my career and all that, was that genuine? Or was that a sort of plot to keep me close to know what was going on? I don't know, right?
Or was she even aware?
Or was she aware, right? So me and Sean, we having a conversation and we going through all the possibilities, girl. Well, I don't think she know because if she knew, she probably wouldn't have, whatever the case may be, right? So we back and forth with it. I get into the office Monday morning, right? And so I get an email saying, this particular week we doing reviews. Everybody is doing review. We're doing merit reviews. Anybody know anything about merit reviews? That's when they assess how you've been doing, who's going to get a raise, what sort of feedback you have, and all of the things, right? So we get into the room where we're doing reviews. Now, keep in mind, by this time, it's like Wednesday. I've been avoiding sis Monday, Tuesday, girl. I've been, whatever, right? So we get into the room where we do the merit reviews. And before she pulls everything up on the computer and before she goes through all the particulars, she was just like, I think you do a phenomenal job. There's nothing that I can ask for you to do more except, I said, ooh, I might poot again. In my mind, I said, ooh, I might poot again. She said, the only thing that I could suggest that you do is probably spend less time on your social conversations and DMs. Because all of that can be seen by anybody in leadership. Now, keep in mind, best friends, I didn't even know that feature, that whole chat feature, that whole DM and back and forth thing, I didn't even know that was a thing. Girl, he started it. Girl, I'm in the room with her like a little kid like, well, if you go back and look at the chat, if you go back and read the conversation, he started it. Girl, I didn't even know that. And I told her, I said, girl, I didn't even know that feature existed. And she said, I understand. And she said, well, off the record, let me ask you a personal question. How old are you? So I told her how old I was at the time. Now, keep in mind, best friends, I'm not even knowing, like, okay, I was very early 20s, like 21-ish, right? Like, I'm not knowing that that's a boundary. That's unprofessional. You can't ask me that. Like, and as my boss, you have access to all of that, right? But I'm not knowing that then, right? So I answered the question and she was like, okay, yeah. So she was like, I'm inclined to believe you didn't know, right? You didn't know. And I was like, didn't know what? Now I got to see it through, right? I done stepped in something that I didn't sign up to step in. Now I got to see that thing through. So I said, didn't know what? And so then she proceeds to tell me who he was. And I said, yeah, no, I didn't know, right? And so then she was just like, that's why I'm saying, based on your age, you wouldn't know. She was like, you would know, because everybody who we ran in circles with would have been gone, by the time you can. Basically the same thing that I said when I was talking to him. So we having this conversation, and so I'm thinking she finna tear me up in this review, all of the things. And so then she was just like, no, she was just like, if you, long story short, if that's the direction you want to go, she was wording things and framing things in such a way to try to keep everything above board. But baby, she was like, if that's the direction you want to go, if that's a relationship that you want to entertain, I wish you nothing but the best. She was just like, it just didn't work. She said, for me, it just didn't work. And what I need and what I desire, it just didn't align. And so she was just like, I have no ill will. I have nothing to say. It just didn't work. She said, now, would it be uncomfortable and a little different, you know, for something to blossom between y'all? Yes. I'm not gonna, you know, mince words. But she was just like, if it's something that you would like, I can get you moved to another team. And so now I'm sitting there and I'm stuck because you put the ownership on me. You see what I'm saying? Which I feel like you should take the lead in that, right? You're the person that's a manager. You're the person in leadership position. You're the person who feels a way, whether you say it or not. Can you lead me in an unbiased way? I don't know. I can't answer that question for you, right? And I felt like I was stuck between a rock and a hard place because, girl, anything I say is going to be seen as a way, right? If I say, yeah, move me to another team, then what message is that sending to her, right? If I say, no, I'm good, and girl, you pick me apart and you turn me everywhere but loose, then what does that say? So I was just stuck in a catch-22. And I feel like, I don't know, do you, Myrtle, let me ask you, you feel like he knew?
That he knew what?
That was my boss.
I mean, if he know what, well, I have to say this. If he knew what her position was and he knew what your position was and he put two and two together, possibly, but not necessarily, because I mean, look how big the company was.
The company
and
was...
unless he knew specifics, like, oh, you know, she's here and you're here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'd have to put so much together.
But you know the org chart. Now, you remember the org chart, right? Yeah. You remember when we would go at Outlook. Y'all know me and Sean work everywhere together, okay?
Right. All the time. Yeah, so I mean, remember, if he took the time to look it up.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know.
Yeah, because in Outlook, when you type in the person's name, it gives you their name, it gives you their title, and then all their direct reports. So I would have been listed under her, and it shows you who she reports up to. You see what I'm saying? All of that. Now, I know before I got hired in, she had recently got promoted to that position, but I feel like he still would have known. I feel like he still would have known because well, no, because she didn't come from that department. She came from the department that we later got promoted to.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
She started over there and then ended up over there, and then I started over there and ended up over. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
We kind of like crisscrossed over time. But girl, yeah, I ended up having to work with her. It wasn't long. It was long. It was too long for me. I ended up having to work with her for another something like 6 months. And then there was another messy situation that happened with her, and she ended up leaving the company altogether. But yeah, best friends. They, the Book of Faces recommended her as a person I may know. And girl, I looked and was like, girl, look Meta, look Facebook. I don't need your help.
Why don't you stay out of my business? How about that?
Stay out of areas. Stay out of areas. Now, I don't know how Meta would have done it unless it's because he's a contact still in my phone and he's probably still a contact in her phone. Because the only contact that I would have had for her would have been, you know, the work phone number or whatever, but that's the department. I don't think I ever had her cell phone number. And if I did, girl, I wouldn't still have it in my phone now. So yeah. Yeah. Girl, I don't know. But I seen that lady pop up. I said, oh, I said, it's been a few days since I called the best friends. Let me give y'all this story time. And let me jog Sean's memory. But yeah, girl, that's crazy. I wonder where she at now.
Who knows?
I wonder where she at now. She was fire. She was, what I will say, she was cold. She was cold. Mm-hmm. Don't you think?
Yeah, she was about her business.
She was gorgeous. She was a gorgeous lady. A gorgeous lady. And I could definitely see him pulling her. But I could also see, because I knew enough about her, I could also see how she would have been bored with him. Mm. See, he's something like Mr. Deeds. He's the male version of me, right? So I would watch him. He's very structured and very routine, right? I would watch him like do things the same way and do things like he had all his ties, you know, organized a certain way, and everything was color coded, and all his suits, and like his whole, because remember he had a house not similar to our first house, but kinda. So he had that walk-in closet, because you was over there that one time, right?
Over where?
Didn't you go to his house with me one time?
Absolutely not.
No, but this was before me and you ever started dating. You never went over there?
No, ma'am.
Now, he did take us to eat, Myrtle.
Yeah, but I never was with him.
I don't know why I thought you came over there one time. Yeah. But anyway, so, girl, even back then, girl, he had a walk-in closet. It was a walk-in closet that had the curve and the whole thing. You know, girl, that closet was filled to capacity. It was filled to capacity, and everything was very, you know, he was very meticulous. But anyway, I could see her being, because remember who she ended up talking to?
I can't remember.
The musician.
You have to tell me.
Okay, because I can't. If I say he was in a fraternity. His brother and I were really good friends.
Oh, okay.
You know who I'm talking about? Yeah. So when she started messing with him, I was just like, girl, I see you like the bad boys. You like the ones that all the girls want. You like the ones that ain't gonna never settle down and get married and still have it, girl. Mm-hmm. You like those. Mm-hmm. You know, and I seen the person we talking about. I seen him as being, he was too Heathcliff Huxtable.
Yeah, straight now.
Yeah. I can't get the words out, but you know, he was too much on the straight and narrow path, like Sean said. So, but yeah, best friends, I had to tell y'all that story. Everybody's so quiet. Why are you guys so quiet? Why are you so quiet? Does anybody, I know it's been days since we've been live. Does anybody have any questions for me or for Sean about anything? Girl, we've been busy on the Sincerity Johnson side. Mm-hmm. So I said, girl, let me call the best friends. Girl, Sean still got them little feet kicked up, don't she? Look.
I sure do.
How was your day, Myrtle?
My day was good. It was busy, but it was good. I'm not going to sleep with him tonight, for sure.
You gonna sleep well?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. You going to bed early?
Maybe not too early, but at a decent time. Yeah, for sure.
Mm. Miss Ann said maybe the lady popped up because she searched my page. That lady better get off.
Is there truth to that? I never knew if there was truth to that. Like, if you go on somebody's page, like, the clock app tells you, like, they tell your business. Like, if you, as soon as you click on somebody's page, they tell you. Yeah. But the Book of Faces don't do that. But is that like a sneaky way of telling you, like, hey, such and such been over here? Because
I don't know.
I didn't think that was a thing. I didn't think that if you went on somebody's page, then you become a person you may know. Unless they like, I know they do it from your contacts, like you said. Like if you have the phone number in your phone, they do that. But I didn't think they did that.
Yeah, I don't know. Miss Closella said, congratulations on your sellout. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Miss Cicely said, I can't wait to get my orders from SJ. Everything is en route. Everything is en route, best friends. When I say Mama and Sean was packing, baby, they were packing. They were packing. What Mama was packing for, what, 8 hours, something like that?
Like 7 hours. Yeah.
7 or 8 hours. So yeah, thank you guys very much, and we are super excited about the sellout. We have some amazing items that are en route this week for you guys. I was able to order from, was it 3 or 4 different vendors?
Yep.
Something like that. So we have some amazing items coming this week for you guys. So make sure you stay tuned over there on the Sincerity Johnson page and in the group. In the group. So yeah. Closella said, yeah, a search would cause her name to pop up.
I did not know that.
So she would have had to have searched my name, because I didn't search her name.
Yeah.
I forgot, and I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. I forgot that lady existed. I did, because we weren't friends, right? She was my manager. She was my supervisor at the time. We had a great working relationship. However, that situation was so uncomfortable and it was so weird that after she left the company and after, him and I stopped dating and life moved in a different direction, and, Sean and I's relationship changed and we settled down and got married and all these different things. After all of those sort of things happened, it just was one of those things that you just kind of put out of your mind, and it didn't come back to the forefront of my mind until I seen her and the people you may know. So she would have had to have searched me, because I definitely didn't search her. But I thought that was weird. I said, oh, Lord.
Yeah, it is weird.
Because I was like, why does this name sound familiar? Because in me and the profile picture wasn't telling, because it wasn't her, right? Mm-hmm. The profile picture was like, I don't know if it was like a symbol or something, okay, but I had to click on the page to click on the photos, because I was like, I wonder if this is the same person. And then I clicked on the photos and was like, oh, that's what it is. And I was like, no, Metal, we don't need no help. We don't need no help. Yeah, girl. You think I should have blocked the page?
No, I don't think so.
She didn't do nothing wrong, but it's strange.
Mm-hmm.
It's strange. But yeah, it's crazy, because looking back during that whole time, like, him and I broke up because he really wanted to move the needle forward. And I recognized that I just didn't feel like I could be in a long-term relationship with a man and give him what he needed in the way that he needed it. Like, could I have been married and been faithful? I could have. Could I have given him children? Obviously, I could have, because, we had the twins. But that whole, like, I want you to cook, and I want you to do this, and I want you to do that. And I'm like, girl, who finna cook? Who finna cook? You gonna come home from work and want a hot meal, and then I'm gonna be coming home from work and I want a hot meal. And so there was no part of me, and you got to think back, best friends, I had just graduated from college. So there was no part of me that wanted to have a career as I had always envisioned in my mind, or start a business, or whatever I would later do in my life. I never saw myself as being the person that would sit at home and put all my trust in a man. I just didn't see that. And so I don't see anything wrong with it. I think people who are able to be stay-at-home, husbands, or stay-at-home wives, or whatever the case may be, I think that's a beautiful thing if it works for you and your family. But my mom was also divorced, okay? And I seen other people in my family also be divorced. And girl, I was not going to be assed out, okay? I just didn't see that being my story. And so I was looking at the situation like, you're a really, really good guy, and there's a lot of potential there. there's a lot of synergy there. There's a lot of alignment there. You know, I knew if ever there was a time where I put him in the car and took him home to meet the family, girl, they would still to this day be asking where he at. Okay, he was that kind of person, but I just didn't want to be unfair to him, so I broke it off, and he later started to resent me. I feel like because he made a couple of attempts to kind of like for us to reconnect and get back together, and then literally less than a year later, the next girl he dated, he married her within a couple of months. He married her just like that. And they were together for a little while, and I think they divorced. She kept his last name, but they divorced. But yeah, girl, I don't know. But yeah, he did not like me after that. Yeah, he did not like me after that. But yeah, I don't know. Everybody's quiet. I think they're done talking to me today, Sean.
Oh, well, you know.
You got anything else for the best friends before I let them go?
I don't have anything. Thank you for hanging out with us, best friends. I'm going to sit here and finish twiddling my toes for a little while longer before I make the kids get in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost bedtime for them.
What you over there watching?
Fatal Attraction.
Okay. Well, that'll do it. But anyway, best friends, I'm going to go shower, grab my computer, and get some stuff done. I love you guys. I hope you have an amazing day. And always know that the absolute best is yet to come. But baby, I got Sunday to do. Good night.